We are very happy to be in your company. It's a Thursday, the third day in the month of March 2022. This is Up and Go. My name is Richie B.
And you know it's your boy Shells.
And we're here at Hope Gardens, Hope Zoo. It's World Wildlife Day 2022. We thank our sponsors. Of course, we're doing all of this in partnership with Target Advertising, reaching your target market. And we do have some sponsors on board with us all morning long.
Oh, of course. Enough love goes out to Carey Cement Company Limited, the Hope Zoo Preservation Foundation, the Tourism Enhancement Fund, the Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and of course, the National Environment and Planning Agency.
We say big ups to our friends, our Bridge Nation, locked in at 99 on the FM band, and those who are checking us out at our streaming portal, which is very clean and it's pretty, to be honest with you. Clean. Not us, but the stream. It is clean as a whistle. Our engineers are doing a fantastic job. And what we're doing here, we're broadcasting until 11 o'clock. But we want to tell the listeners, Shells, that beyond that, there are a number of activities. There's a NEPA workshop, a question and answer segment on the American Crocodile. There's the Jamaica Iguana, JSIF, JSIF YouTube video presentation. There'll be zoo tour going on around about 10:40 this morning. The forestry department, they're having a tree planting situation going on. A teacher from each school will be representing on location. And we see a number of students and their parents who are here. Good morning to all the students, to all the mothers, to all the fathers who are here for this fantastic day today, World Wildlife Day 2022. It was on the 20th of December in the year 2013 at the 68th session of the United Nations General Assembly when the signatures went on paper and the declaration of the UN World Wildlife Day came into being. And that is what we're here to celebrate all morning. And in fact, even beyond that today, World Wildlife Day has now become the most important global annual event dedicated to wildlife. And so we applaud it, we endorse it, and that is why we're here to participate in it this morning. Yo, the sun is getting very bright. I turned to my left to say something to Shells, and I was almost blinded by the sunlight. Nice, beautiful morning, though.
Good morning. It's a beautiful morning indeed here in Kingston, Jamaica.
When our sponsors plan events like these, they want to have days and mornings like these. Beautiful sunshine, nice cool breeze blowing, and we're surrounded by lots of animals. It's a good vibe. Yes, and we're also going to take time now to welcome our first guest, Dr. Carey Wallace, who is here with us. Good morning, Dr. Wallace. How are you, sir?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, listeners. I'm well, very well, thank you.
All right, good to see you. We have had many opportunities, and we have had interviews with you several times on air, but not necessarily face-to-face like this. So it's a good vibe. I remember it was, I think, in the year 2017 when a press release came out that the chairman of the TEF had made an appointment, and you were the appointee as the CEO?
Executive Director.
The executive director of the TEF. What a journey it's been. How has it been for you?
It's been quite good. We believe tourism has just so much potential, and I'm just happy to be part of the team led by the Honorable Minister Edmund Bartlett, who himself is just such an outstanding Minister of Tourism. And so all of us at the ministry just enjoys our job in helping to grow Jamaica's tourism. It's our number one industry and has so much potential for more growth. And so I wake up every morning jumping out of bed, happy to help to build this industry and in so doing build Jamaica.
Fantastic, fantastic. How would you say that the TEF, the Tourism Enhancement Fund, is involved with local conservation?
Well, as you can imagine, our tourism product is dependent on our environment, dependent on our variety and diversity of wildlife, flora and fauna, and the natural beauty that we've been blessed with so much. It's just in our interest to protect it, to conserve it, to enhance it even. And so the TEF has to play a great role in doing that.
Yes, so we give thanks for that, Dr. Wallace. Now, why did the Tourism Enhancement Fund decide, to come on board?
Well, when we partner with outstanding groups and associations like the Hope Zoo and the team who are helping to raise the awareness of Wildlife Day, then partners like the TEF, we have to say yes to measures and ventures like this that help to protect and conserve what we benefit from in tourism. When we go out to market, the sun, sea, and sand is good, but other countries have that. But Jamaica separates itself from the competition with the variety and diversity of other offerings. We talk about our cultural offerings, that's one, but when you just go to the natural offerings, the flora, the fauna, the amount of endemic species that we have as a country, it's almost unfair to the other islands because we were just so well endowed here in Jamaica. We're fifth of all islands in the world as far as the number of endemic species.
Wow, never know that.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Interesting stuff we're hearing from Dr. Carey Wallace. I want to look at some of the projects that you have in fact embarked on, some of which you have completed, maybe some are still ongoing, especially to benefit the country. What are some of the projects that you're really proud of having completed?
Well, in relation to conservation and protection of the environment and so on, we've invested a lot in the marine side of things. So in supporting fish sanctuaries right across Jamaica, and one of the things that they do is they help to replenish the coral stock on our coastlines. Nice. With climate change, we have a phenomenon where some of the coral it's called bleaching, where the temperatures are just a little bit too high for them to survive, and we've had to have programs where we get them to replant the type of coral that are resistant to the higher temperatures, and so they thrive in those, and then replace the ones that are dying out. So it's not sexy. It's not not something that you jump up on stage and talk about, but it's just something that's necessary and protects Jamaica's so valued natural assets that we have here, and so it's important for us to do that. So we've done a lot of those projects. We've done projects like supporting the Jamaica Environmental Trust with their coastal cleanup programs and their solid waste management awareness and Not Up Jamaica programs and so on. Just because those help to prevent damage to the natural environment and our endemic species as such. So we invest in those areas, and year after year, the International Coastal Cleanup Day, for instance, we participate almost every year. A few years ago we had to stop because of COVID, but we're back now on track and doing those programs.
All right.
Nice.
So you're definitely involved in ecotourism in a big way.
Definitely. In fact, the minister is looking at the St. Thomas as uncharted waters, so to speak, in terms of developing tourism, and the plan that they've developed for St. Thomas tourism development is on that side of ecotourism, villas and development. So we should see even more of that in Jamaica as we expand, and as a country, really, we can make all Jamaicans wealthy from tourism. And yes, I sit close to that side, and a lot of persons may not realize, but the proximity to North America, being the third largest English-speaking country in the Americas. That's Jamaica. Number one is the US, number two is Canada, number three is Jamaica. Right? With the variety of offerings, the natural beauty, the beaches, the rivers, the waterfalls. I mean, we hear other islands competing, but they don't have half of what we have.
True.
Cayman doesn't even have one mountain,
Yes.
Their highest point in Cayman is their solid waste, their landfill.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
We can't even count the amount of mountains we have in Jamaica.
Right.
I'd start adding waterfalls, start adding rivers, start adding blue holes, start adding spas, mineral spas. In fact, just a mineral spa, at Milk River, is the fourth most radioactive. Now, radioactive sounds like a battery, but it has the most potency of all mineral spas in the world.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? How can we be so overly blessed and not have all our people living a great quality of life? And so that's what we want to do with tourism, ensuring we protect that variety and diversity of what we've been blessed with, so that we can get more and more visitors coming and spending their monies outside of the hotels as well. Yeah. Because to see the 22 endemic birds that are here in Jamaica. 22 different species of birds. The only place you can find them is here in Jamaica. So for bird watchers who are serious, they are going to have to choose Jamaica. But if we start losing those endemic species, you can imagine we won't have that offering. So that's how it all comes together, and that's why we support it.
And so this is why you're here, celebrating World Wildlife Day. Your presence, I suspect, is an endorsement of this day. And your message in closing?
Well, I would just like to encourage everybody to pay attention to it. I know they can get distracted with the day-to-day activities, but Jamaica can win or lose depending on the people and how we collaborate and how we pay attention to the important things that when we invest in them, it accrues to benefit to our current generation, but future generations. And that's where we are with a program like this, with World Wildlife Day, bringing the awareness. And so we can just take some measures to be more responsible, and that's what I'm hoping that this message will convey to everyone.
It will.
All right, so we're outside, and we're here at Hope Gardens, and we're having a beautiful morning so far. We hope that you are too. Hope that the traffic is not too bad on the roads. We're inside of a half an hour, brought to you courtesy of Richard James Mathematics Resources. The half an hour between 7:30 and 8, brought to you with their sponsorship and their courtesy. But overall, the program today, Up and Go, here at Hope Zoo and Hope Gardens, is courtesy of Carey Cement Company Limited, the Hope Zoo Preservation Foundation, Tourism Enhancement Fund, the Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and the National Environment and Planning Agency. Can we have a nice big round of applause for all of our sponsors? Yeah, they made it happen.
Yes, sir.
And we are here to celebrate World Wildlife
Wildlife
Day.
Day.
And it's under the theme Safeguarding Key Species for Ecosystem Restoration.
Beautiful.
Thank you once again. It's now time for
Proverb of the day.
Take it away.
All right, so good morning, Bridge Nation. I feel nice. My outside sun touch my skin. Long sun touch me.
Wow.
So our proverb of the day is fish and cast net na friend.
What?
Fish and cast net na friend. I don't know from here to now where it come from.
That's all that Guyana, you know.
Yes, it is.
Big ups to the Guyanese. You would be more familiar with this than my Jamaican listeners. But we're about to share exactly what that
it means. Right. So the meaning is some people will just never get along. Can I tell you?
Oh.
So fish and cast net, nah friend.
Cast net.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah friend.
Because once you fish, or the fish get caught in your net, it means
Problem.
you go pull him out of the sea, and that is moving him or her.
I just want you guys to know that you have
his last breath.
fish behind you.
Swim around.
Yeah, so
Swim around.
You prefer if we say swim
Swim
around?
around.
Swim around.
All right, so
Hey,
we work
one
with
from
swim.
SA, if
People,
you wanna do it
we're
now.
having a
Our
problem.
fish.
There's a toss-up going on. Shall we say fish or shall we say swim around?
It's fish.
Swim around.
I'm
And
right
that's
in the
in the
middle.
Bible.
I'm
Fish.
right in the middle. What do I do, people?
All right, so we
May I
have.
play booty? That's a nice one, though.
Yes,
Yeah,
I like
Fish
that
and
one.
cast net, nah, friend.
I used
it
to
means
work a team because of World Wildlife Day to say
Makes sense.
exactly.
everything
Proper things. Some people will just never get along. Don't worry about it. All right, that was our proverb
of the day.
And now,
It's time for Pet Peeve.
Pet peeve.
And our general manager is going to share her pet peeve this morning.
Watch load up.
What
You're
is
saying
this
to
guy?
me, welcome,
Why
Jules,
you
with a round of
pretending to
applause,
be shy?
please. Clap, 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 clap. She took the long trek to Hope Gardens, and now we've pulled her in so she can share her pet peeve.
I'm
Good
in
morning.
the hot seat, Bridge Nation.
Yes.
I'm
Wow.
in the hot seat.
Yes, ma'am.
Once again.
Yes. I'm glad we got you from behind the cameras, though.
Yeah.
And on the microphone. Talkaphone.
Talkaphone, yes. Well, see, Richie, I learned it, man. Yeah, I learned it, Richie.
What's your pet peeve, Jules?
Well, I have a couple. But I will share only one.
Okay.
So for me, pretentious people.
Pretentious people.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Ah.
You have persons who pretend to know everything, pretend to know how to do everything when they really don't.
Oh.
And instead of being forthcoming, being straightforward and say, I don't know, then pretend.
Oh.
And don't allow the people who really know
To
to
get
get
the
the
job
job
done.
done.
Okay
So
then.
me have a very big problem with that because I am a person who strive and aspire to do everything to the best of my ability. So when you find that there's an impairment like that, It don't make sense.
It bother you.
Yeah.
It bother.
It bother me. It bother me strong. Strong.
She's trying to get some bass in her voice. Strong. Yeah, but you know something? That I think is something that would bother a lot of persons too.
Yeah, it'll bother me just listening.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
We're very pleased at this time to be joined by the curator here at the Hope Zoo Preservation Foundation. Mr. Joseph Brown is our guest at this time. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning.
Joseph.
Thank you for having me.
Looking forward to our discussion. And I must tell you, listeners, that we'll also be talking to Joseph about the lizards and the crocodiles and the snakes. Shells, stay in your seat. Don't get up yet, son.
Okay. All I'm saying, Bridge Nation, is that Joseph forward with some bugs and containers. I don't know what's going on, but I'm on the edge of my seat.
What
Totally harmless. You got nothing to worry about.
What you must also
Yeah,
say
that-
is
yeah.
that I'm the one sitting closest to Joseph.
No, you are the star, Richie.
And
Yeah.
I was about to say that there, ask Joseph if you realize, Joseph, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Do you realize that just to hear the names like words like lizards and snakes and crocodiles, right now some of my listeners are extremely
I know that. I mean, that's a
Nervous.
common, reptiles in general is a common fear for most people. But they're very misunderstood.
Yeah.
They're
Very-
just as afraid of us as we are of them.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
I was about to also say that some of my colleagues have that same problem. Morning, Shells.
Yeah. I'm afraid to talk too loud.
You
Yeah.
might wake up the snake
Yeah,
beside me.
I don't know what's going on.
Anyhow, fun and joke aside, as we say here, Joseph, you are the curator. And I was making the point earlier that no doubt you carry and take a lot of responsibility for what goes on here.
Definitely.
How would you describe your roles and functions here as curator?
Almost like just the complete manager of the entire animal collection and the animal keeping staff. So we have over 1,000 animals that are under our care.
Yes.
And then I have a team of about 12 keepers, zookeepers, a veterinarian, full-time veterinarian, and a vet tech. So I kind of manage all the people and the animals and making sure, the animals are getting the proper nutrition, proper diet, proper enclosures, environment,
The whole habitat has to be.
the whole habitat has to
Yeah.
be perfect. We have a lot of native animals here, but we also have a lot of exotic animals here from Africa, South America. So we try to replicate those environments the best we can and make sure the animals are just happy and healthy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into that.
Do you get the feeling that they are happy here at Hope Zoo?
I definitely do. I mean, my team is absolutely amazing. These animals are pretty much like our kids, and they care for those animals like that. And we have an amazing veterinarian, so anytime there's the most slightest illness or wound, our vet team is on it right away. But these animals are just like taking care of your kids at home. They come to work every day, and it's like, you're taking care of your family here. So they're extremely loved by our staff here.
Yeah. Before you jump in, Shells, I wanted to ask you, Joseph, how would you describe the role that the zoo plays in terms of wildlife conservation as we're here to celebrate World Wildlife Day 2022?
Okay, so there's probably 3 different roles I'll highlight real quick. So one is just education and outreach, getting local Jamaicans to connect and kind of learn more about wildlife in general. I'll go more into that. 2, wildlife rescue and rehabilitation. We are the main wildlife kind of rescue sanctuary here in Jamaica. So anytime there's an injured owl, injured parrot, snake, crocodile, they're brought to Hope Zoo for, our vet team works on rehabilitating them and then releasing them back into the wild. Most people don't realize that. They think we're just the zoo, but we actually do all this work behind the scenes that we're rehabilitating wild animals to get them released, So that's when we work really closely with our partners at NEPA, because they're often rescuing these animals in the wild, bringing them to the zoo, and then we kind of fix them up and then get them to be released again. And then
I didn't know that you do all of that.
yeah, most
Yes.
people don't. And so that's where we're really trying to get that out there, because we are a nonprofit zoo. And, anyone coming to the zoo and spending money, all that money goes right back into the zoo and helping with our wildlife rehab efforts. And then on top of that, we also we have one of the most famous conservation programs in the world, protecting the critically endangered Jamaican iguana, which is one of the most endangered species in the world. There's about 45 iguana species worldwide, and the Jamaican iguana is the most critically endangered of them all. It was actually thought to be
The numbers are dwindling.
they're actually increasing now,
No.
but they were actually thought to be extinct up until 1990.
Wow.
Totally wiped off of the planet. They're only found right here in Jamaica. They thought they were totally wiped out. And then, long story short, in 1990, this pig hunter, Edwin Duffus, was hunting up in the Hellshire Hills and came across this iguana, brought it back to the zoo in 1990, and kind of all these researchers they couldn't believe it. This thing had been wiped out for nearly 100 years. And so that started this massive conservation program. And the biggest part of that program is these baby iguanas were getting wiped out by what are invasive species. So mongoose, cats that aren't native to this area were killing all the babies. So what we do is we catch up the babies in the wild and we bring them back to the zoo, raise them up till they're nice and big, about a couple feet, and then release them back into the wild.
Oh, really? Okay.
And to this day, we've released over nearly 550 iguanas back into the wild.
Wow.
So I actually
Into
have
the-
a Jamaican
wild.
iguana
I haven't
with
seen-
me.
I haven't seen any close to my home.
What is
home.
going on with
one of
the
the magic bags I brought is actually one of the most endangered animals in the world.
So, Shells, keep your seat. Remember, I'm the one closest to it.
Everything good, man.
My doctor just messaged me that I have an allergy.
So don't worry, I brought a little baby guy for me. I didn't bring an adult. So the adults
Okay.
can get 4 or 5 feet, no problem.
Baby.
All right.
This
no
one's a
problem.
juvenile. He's
Let's
just
just
about,
position ourselves so
he's
we
just
can
about
get
to-
a better view. I think look at him! Wow, that is fantastic to look at from a
Yeah.
distance. Yeah.
Look at that.
It looks. It's not angry, is it?
No,
Yes.
he's just
Okay. His
smiling.
mouth is
He's
open.
smiling.
He's probably angry because I
Oh,
woke
and
him
it
up
looks
a
like
little
he's
early.
peeing or something like
peeing
that.
on your notes.
Yeah,
just
they do
making
that.
sure that the body
Okay,
functions
so
are
yeah, man,
working.
catch that. Yeah,
Even
no.
though we didn't ask. but
Joseph, I have
that's
a
an iguana,
question.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. So when
They get even bigger than that,
they
though,
get
don't they?
way bigger. So when he's full grown,
Oh.
he'll be. Yeah, he's peeing a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I woke him up a little early. This is way too early for him.
He's camera shy.
So when they're full grown, they're nearly 4 or 5 feet, and like, his body's this big around, or they're
All
big around.
right.
And they get a lot more colorful blue coloration on their backs. So this guy is just barely 2 years old, so he's going to get quite a bit bigger.
Okay.
And the cool thing, with the whole World Wildlife Day, we're talking about like key species in the environment.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how important these guys are for the Jamaican wildlife in general. So they're called what we call ecological engineers, and so they eat a lot of our Jamaican native plants and fruits. And so what they do is when they eat those fruits, they're running around the forest and they're pooping out those seeds and kind of spreading the forest growth. And it sounds funny, but trust me, it's cool. And one of the cooler things is, they've taken seeds that fall in the ground that would grow naturally, and they've taken seeds from iguana poop. The seeds from the iguana poop germinate 6 times faster. So they cause the plants to grow even faster.
Wow. Very important to the
And
ecosystem.
so they're important for the forest in general.
Yeah.
And directly, they're helping out with the birds, the snakes, everything else.
yeah.
You want to touch it?
No,
No,
we're good,
no,
man.
I'm good,
Yeah,
I'm good,
I
I'm
believe
good.
you. I see that's an
I'll
iguana.
touch it.
It looks real.
All righty then.
ahead.
It's the first time I'm touching.
be
Okay,
nice, be
cool.
nice.
Yeah, you can just easily. Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
I don't promise you that with a snake though.
Oh, okay.
My doctor
Yeah.
just told me about an allergy.
So when they're born in the wild. Hey, buddy, you're okay. When they're born in the wild, they come out at just like a few inches long, so they're really small. So when this guy was born, he was probably just about this big.
Yeah.
And now he's grown this big over a couple years. And
Yeah.
then when they're about 4 or 5 years old, they're about 2 feet long and about a kilogram in weight. And that's when we release them back in the wild, and they're strong enough, and their survival rate is so much better.
Okay. It looks very healthy though. I
Yeah.
can tell you that. That one looks really healthy. So
man.
that's the lizard. Now, what can you tell us about the Jamaican boa snake? Is it poisonous, first of all?
No, so it's not poisonous, and there's no poisonous snakes, venomous snakes in Jamaica.
Okay.
Really?
Yes, so that's the one thing you just get out there. You have nothing to worry about in that aspect. The Jamaican boa is a large snake, and they're potentially dangerous just because they can bite, but they have no venom or anything, so they can't hurt you there. And they're also, like I said, kind of misunderstood. Like most people are going to get bit because they're trying to kill it or trying to catch it, whereas if you see one and you just walk away or leave it alone, they're not going to do anything. They don't chase after you. And they actually play kind of another important role for the wildlife, and especially for farmers, is that they're eating rodents and rats. So rats that are eating your crops or possibly spreading disease, the snakes are taking care of those guys. And so they're actually one of my favorite animals as well.
Wow.
Also endangered, but there's still a lot that needs to be studied about them. There's a lot we don't know. We think their populations are dwindling in the wild, but there's still a lot of research that needs to be done.
Okay.
Okay. What about the American crocodile?
Yes.
You
so
know, how do they help with biodiversity here in Jamaica?
So they play kind of important kind of role in our kind of wetlands and waterways.
Okay.
That is our one native species here in Jamaica, is the American crocodile. It's found from the southern tip of Florida throughout the Caribbean, Mexico, down to Central America and northern part of South America. But and over the last few decades in Jamaica, the populations have been dwindling from poaching, habitat loss, and so we're doing what we can to protect those. Those have you seen our Jamaican coat of arms? It's on the coat of arms. It's like a national icon. So it's just that alone is something I think we need to protect. I'm not asking people, they don't need to love Crocs, but just show some respect and don't kill them.
Yeah.
And again, like our Crocs are extremely shy and like skittish. Like you think they're these big scary animals, which they can be. But if you leave them alone and don't mess with them, they want nothing to do with people.
So it's not like they're always in search of food and will
No,
eat you
man,
kind of
no.
thing.
And they're largely nocturnal, too, so they sleep a lot during the day, and then they're more active at night. And then they're feeding on strictly like fish, birds, snails, these small aquatic animals. They don't want nothing to do with people. We study them in the wild, and it's difficult for us to even get close to them because every time they see us, they just take off. So that they are actually quite shy of people.
Yeah. Did you take any other display?
These aren't native animals, but I brought some cute. These are some little baby tortoises from
so
Africa.
that can work. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are called African Spur tortoises, and we actually have an adult here. These guys are just about a month old, and they can live. Yep, they're really.
It's a shell.
Yeah, you know how long they can live?
How long?
At
100
least
years?
About 150 years.
Are you serious?
150 years.
Wow.
They can get nearly 200 pounds. So these guys, when they're full grown, they're going to be about 200 pounds, a few feet wide.
Yeah. Jody, you don't have to say that far.
But we do have a male here at the zoo, like a 40-year-old male. So if you're ever at the zoo, you can go see him. His name's Sammy. And that you'll get a good size of how big these guys can get.
These would be Sammy's offsprings?
They're from from some different parents.
Okay, got you.
And they're from like.
How old are these ones you're showing us here?
Just over a month old.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, very young ones.
And so they're just tiny little guys.
Look at the head. The head just pops back in.
Yep.
If it senses that they might be dangerous, I suspect.
Yeah, that's what their shell's there for protection. So if they feel scared, they can just tuck in and kind of protect themselves. And yeah, these guys are from this African Sahara Desert.
Oh, okay. All right, listen, I've learned a lot talking with you.
Thank you.
For those who are watching, I actually changed my seating position just to be able to have a better view of.
He's calmed down now. He's calmed down.
Yeah, I know. That's good for me. I can now report.
Yes.
I can report to my listeners that I have touched for the first time in my life
A Jamaican iguana.
an iguana.
One of the most endangered animals in the world.
Yeah, I actually wanted to also, Joseph, because people are watching me and are saying, well, Richie wasn't sitting as high as he is now. I wanted to explain to them that it's just because I wanted to have a better vantage.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Of course.
A better view of the entire.
Yeah,
proceedings.
definitely. I understand that.
So I want to thank you, bro.
Thank you
Thank
guys
you
for
so
having us
much,
on.
Joseph.
Not just for being here, but for the work that you and your team continue to
Yeah,
do.
thank you for supporting the zoo.
Yeah,
it helps
no,
us
man,
out
it's-
a lot. We need all the help we can get.
Most definitely. And what our support will go beyond just today, I can tell you that.
Yeah, for real.
All right?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
All right, thank you.
Take
guys.
care.
Give
Great
thanks,
seeing you.
Joseph and friends.
And hi to-
friends.
hi to Sammy. Yeah. Can I get back down now?
Hold on,
I think it's
hold
safe.
on, hold on.
It's-
Yeah, man, him look.
Yeah, he says it's
he's
safe, so
distracted.
I'm gonna get back down.
Hey.
All right.
What's it? Pardon. What's the iguana's name?
Jojo.
Jojo. Makes sense. Jojo. There it is. Yes.
Now we know.
Yes, the attitude. I could tell.
Jojo.
I could tell from the attitude. It makes sense. A little snappy.
Jojo, you're going to be hearing about that for a long time to come. Thank you very much, Joseph.
Thank you, Joseph.
And all the best. Of course, we're here continuing all the way until 11 o'clock. You know, the National Environment and Planning Agency and partners commemorate World Wildlife Day, which is today, in support of the Convention of the International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora on March 3, 2022. It is illegal to trade the American crocodile, the West Indian whistling duck, and the Jamaican iguana. These are three recovering species that are helping to restore their ecosystem. NEPA, managing and protecting Jamaica's land, wood, air, and water. For more information, visit at NEPA Jamaica on all social media platforms.
Yep.
Going to have another conversation in a short while.
Well, now.
Any second now? Okay. Right
Hello.
about now, as a matter of fact. And she has taken the seat where Joseph was a moment ago. And Mrs. Pamela Lawson is the managing director at the Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the JSPCA. Good morning, Mrs. Lawson.
Good morning,
and welcome.
Mrs. Lawson.
Good morning to you both. Thank
How
you.
are you doing today?
Well, not too bad. I'm alive. It's a good day.
Yes,
we give thanks.
a very important day on your calendar, I'm sure. World Wildlife Day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You know, I want to just make it very clear that we provided Mrs. Lawson with a moment of real laughter when she saw that we changed our seating position, all because we were sitting a little closer to an iguana
Yes, to Jojo.
and some turtles. So we wanted to make you smile. That's why we did that.
And it's very important. Very important.
Yes. All right. How important is this day to you?
Well, I think any day that's dedicated to animals is important. That's what we do. Most of the animals, indigenous wise, that get injured in Jamaica or are rescued do come to the JSPCA. We work alongside with NEPA and with Hope Zoo, very closely with Hope Zoo. And it's our job and it's our passion to help the animals. That's what we do.
So broaden it for a little bit and tell us about some of the services that you actually provide at the JSPCA.
Well, JSPCA, we have many masks, should I say.
Yes.
Yes, we have our veterinary clinic, but we have our community service, voluntary service. A lot of schools are now requiring that the children do community service before they go into universities and college. We do ambulance service, rescues. We work throughout all natural disasters. We provide assistance in the Caribbean when they undergo disasters. We were in Haiti. We were in St. Martin. We've been everywhere. Anywhere in the region, our Caribbean sisters and brothers have a problem, we come in.
Nice. And where are your locations?
We have a location in Montego Bay by Ironshore. We have another one in Portmore and one in Kingston by Winchester Road.
Nice.
Is there a way that persons can, say, sort of adopt an animal? And walk us through that process, if you will.
Adoptions are quite easy because we get so many animals turned in. We prefer you to bring your animals into JSPCA rather than throw them in the gullies, let them loose on the streets. It just creates a problem. So you just come in, have a look at what we have. If you like something, there's a very small fee. All animals that leave JSPCA are neutered before.
Oh, okay. So they're not able to participate in the reproductive process?
No, not at all. And it doesn't even matter if it's purebred.
Oh, really?
Which upsets some people.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I can imagine.
No.
But those are the rules.
Those are the rules, and I don't break them, not even for myself.
All right,
Wow.
got you.
Okay, so I'm a dog guy. I love my dogs. Actually, one of my dogs in heat right now. It's kind of crazy at home. I have two
Isn't
boys
it?
and two girls. And it's kind of insane right now. So I'm gonna have to talk to you about how to sort that out.
Sort that problem out
but,
quickly, eh?
Yeah, but
Thank God they're not ferrets.
Thank God they're not ferrets. No, but in terms of, I've always been struggling with keeping them healthy. You know, because I'm like the average Jamaican. No, we're not even gonna vet. We're not even for League JSPC. I got this. Especially I have what they call mongrels, so we think mongrels stronger than the average dog and type of stuff like that. So what I want to know is what are the steps I can take, or persons who think like me, in terms of keeping our pets healthy.
I think it's important. Nutrition is always good for all of us. It's no different than a child. So once you maintain them, you have their routine prophylaxis treatments, which are the vaccinations, dewormings, and their heartworm prevention, things like that. That's the important thing. Maintain your external and internal parasites. But it's not hard work, and it's just me keep on top of things like you would a child.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
One final one for you, Mrs. Lawson. I know you depend on the support of volunteers. For those who are listening, how can one volunteer at the JSPCA?
Oh, it's very simple. I mean, you just come in, we'll work out something. We have a form that you do fill out. If you're under 18, you need parental consent. And we ask you to set a time frame when you wish to come in on a regular basis, and you stick to it like it is a job. So, because we get to depend on you. Yes, we do.
And how can you be contacted?
Our telephone number, 876-929-0320, or you can email jspca@yahoo.com. It's very simple. And we'll see how best we can help each other.
Just repeat the number.
876-929-0320.
All right. All right, wonderful talking with you. Thank you for getting up out of your bed to join us here on location at this early hour.
It's not too bad.
All right. Thank you so
very
much.
much for
Great
having me.
meeting you.
Thank
and keep
you.
up the good work.
Thank you very much.
All right. Mrs. Pamela Lawson, the Managing Director of the Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Very important role that they play at the JSPCA. I think we're going to be joined right now, Shells, by Sashani. Sashani Sullivan is a teacher at St. Peter and Paul Prep School. Please have a seat. Teach. And welcome to the microphones of the Bridge 99 FM. Good morning. And let me ask you, how are you doing today?
Thank you, and how are you?
We're doing
good.
well. We're well, aren't we?
Yeah, man, we're good, man.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Sure.
This is our first time on an outside broadcast on this show since we started under a year ago, so we're very excited to be here and also excited to have you.
I am excited too. This is actually my first time online on a radio station.
All right.
Okay.
And you know something? You're not even nervous. You don't even look it, even
Yeah.
if you feel it inside. I don't think you are nervous. All right, so tell us about what brought you here today.
Okay, so we got an invitation from the wildlife of,
Authority? Uh-huh.
yes, and we're basically here to see some, I guess they'll be displaying some of the different
Right.
animals, and we're just basically here to see to hear some of the different interviewers and to get new information.
Yes. What was the reaction of the students as another busload of students is
Look at
arriving?
that.
What was the reaction of the students when you announced that some of them would be selected to come here today? I suspect excitement, right?
They were, indeed. They were basically, I think they wanted more of their friends to be here. I guess they wanted to come and experience together as a group.
I can understand that. So I see your students. They look. I don't know if that's anxious or but how could you describe the mood of your students right now?
Anxious to hear.
Yeah, that's anxious. All right, that's good. That's good. Any animals you're looking forward to seeing? Teach.
Sorry?
Any animals you're looking forward to seeing?
The snake.
The snake.
What? No. Seriously?
Yes.
I thought you'd be nervous and scared, but you're
but
looking
that's
forward to seeing the snake.
Yes.
Not necessarily to get close to it, though.
No.
All right. Listen, it was great meeting you.
Yes.
Wonderful talking with you. Give my regards to the students as well and all the other teachers and everybody at St. Peter and Paul. And you have a great day here today. Good morning, Treya Picking. Welcome to the program. How are you today?
Good morning, everyone. I'm great.
Give thanks.
You take an interest in World Wildlife Day, don't you, at NEPA?
Yes, big interest.
Tell us why.
So I'm an environmental officer, and my role at NEPA is all about managing and protecting Jamaica's protected wildlife.
Oh.
So this is a very important day for you as well.
Very important. It's something at NEPA that we celebrate every year, and we have different events just to raise awareness, because this is a day that gives us an opportunity to highlight the importance of the diversity of plants and animals that we have right here in Jamaica.
Wow.
It is fantastic when I look at the activities for today. I mean, we're doing an outside broadcast, so you know that the majority of Jamaica would be hearing all of this. And then we're also streaming around the world, so that also expands the reach. And on location, look at all the students, hundreds of them
I'm so
already
happy.
here.
It's
And,
great.
and there's this air of excitement. I really like the feel.
Yes.
So far, you're enjoying it, aren't you?
Yes, I am. It's great to see all the students back
Yes.
in numbers.
Let me ask you then, tell us a little bit more about what NEPA really does.
Okay, so NEPA, our environmental kind of component of the agency, we deal with the protection and management of the wildlife under the Wildlife Protection Act and the Endangered Species Act. So we do things from public awareness, like right now, we do monitoring, we do research, we do rescue and relocation, and we also deal with permits. And there's a lot. We do a lot. And at the end of the day, we just want to promote the importance and the respect we should have for our environment. You know, it's very important to us. Our livelihoods depend on it, and we just want more and more Jamaicans to realize this. And we do this through a lot of conservation initiatives and outreach initiatives.
Nice.
And this is one of them.
Nice. So earlier, Joseph Brown stopped by and surprised
Joey.
us. Yes, Joey.
Joey.
You know, he came by and surprised us with a little fellow.
Was it a crocodile?
No,
Thankfully.
Thankfully. Yeah, but Jojo the iguana stopped by.
Aw.
And he told us some great information. You know, he shared some great information of how important the iguana is for us. I just want you to elaborate further on that. How important do you think is the Jamaican iguana?
It's very important. So actually, a really cool fact is that it's considered one of the most successful conservation stories in the world,
Oh.
right here in Jamaica. Because it was on the brink of extinction, thought to be extinct in 1948, and then in 1990 it was rediscovered by a pig hunter,
Yeah.
and the rest is history. And it was a collaborative effort between NEPA, Hope Zoo, CCAM, many other local and international organizations to bring it back. And where the Jamaican iguana is located is the Hellshire Hills, which is itself the ecosystem, the dry limestone forest. It's an endangered ecosystem. There's not much of it left in the Caribbean, in the world. And the Jamaican iguana actually plays an important role in the restoration and the regeneration of the forest by germination.
Yeah.
So it swallows the seeds, poops them out, and it actually gives a higher chance of trees flourishing and the ecosystem recovering and even getting healthier and healthier.
Wow. Even while we were talking here with Tria, if you look to our right, the students so very orderly,
with them
forming a line. I think they're going to be getting a tour of the facilities here, and the excitement is being shown on their faces. Good morning again to all the students. Tria, I want to talk a little bit now about the whistling duck, which is not something that we hear a lot of. And I think I want to hear from you. Tell us a little bit more about it.
So the West Indian whistling duck is one of the rarest ducks in the world. It's confined to the Northern Caribbean, and I believe they estimate under 20,000 remaining in the wild. So not a lot. And I'm out in the field a lot, and when I see them in the wild, it's like an amazing experience for me because they're just such beautiful, beautiful ducks. And so what's happening is that there's, because of their threatened status, we want to get more research on the birds to find out their movement patterns, their nesting, their feeding habits, so we can put things in place, like measures in place to help with their recovery. And last year, they placed 2 satellite trackers on 2 ducks down in Negril in an isolated wetland, and this was also a collaborative international and local effort with NEPA and the IW Eco Project. And the ducks were actually called Joe and Kamala because it happened on the inauguration.
The inauguration,
okay. Which was pretty cool.
Okay.
So these satellite trackers actually give information every hour on the movements of these birds. And so far, the study's been going very, very well. So we're trying to highlight the West Indian whistling duck more because ducks are very important for wetland health, and they're a unique part of Jamaica.
Nice.
You still tracking them?
Yes, they're still being tracked.
Good. Okay. That's good. Now, speaking of wetland health, Joey earlier said that these lovely creatures are misunderstood. One of the many that are misunderstood. The American crocodile.
Yes, my favorite.
Yes, your favorite.
Yes.
Tell us why. Tell us more about them.
So actually, I focus my research on the American crocodile. I'm actually a student as well at the University of West Indies, and I'm doing my master's on this species. And I'm conducting the first ever island-wide population survey on the crocodiles, so we can get an idea of the population status, their movements, their distribution, and just their management. Because yes, they're highly misunderstood. There are a lot of negative interactions, and a lot of it stems from misconceptions. So actually, the crocodile isn't as bad as everybody thinks,
Okay.
They are more likely to flee at the sight of humans than attack. However, they are still potentially dangerous. So we still speak to people. We try and get the message across that, for the most part, if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. And for centuries, people have been living alongside crocodiles globally. So it is possible for us to live alongside them in the wetlands. And the many threats they face are wetland loss. So, houses and people are encroaching further and further into wetlands. The interactions are happening even more, which leads to a lot of conflict. And then the other thing is illegal hunting. Like, they are being hunted for their meat. And that is something that we are trying to, fight, but it is very, very difficult. So I think the key thing is just getting the message across and reaching out to people to try and understand that the crocodile is very, very important for wetland health, for fish stock population, to keep our rivers clean. They play a huge role, and they're our largest reptile here in Jamaica.
Okay. Look at this, Shells. This is now a coaster bus that has just arrived.
School.
Morning,
Big
driver.
School. Big school.
And good morning to all the students on the bus. Morning.
That's Wolmer's.
All right, and there's a teacher there. That's Wolmer's?
Yeah, you mean you can ask.
Okay, then.
Big up.
All right.
Big up.
Oh, you spotted quickie?
Yeah, man. Rivalry school, but big them up same way. Good school.
All right. So the students are alighting, and they'll be joining the procession and engaging in the excitement that is happening here on World Wildlife Day today, the 3rd of March, 2022. And remember, the theme is safeguarding key species for ecosystem restoration. You would have been hearing us talking a lot about our sponsors, and one of them being the Carib Cement Company Limited.
Yes.
And we have the commercial director, Mr. Roberto Villarreal, who is here with us this morning from Carib Cement Company Limited, CMEX. Good morning, Roberto.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Nice to meet you. Thank
Same
you very
here.
much for your time. And in this case, I'm really glad to see all this, the zoo, so live. So many people supporting this. So
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that this is a really good event and something good for all the Jamaicans.
It is indeed, and we thank you for supporting it at this level and also at the wider corporate level. Why did you become engaged in this particular event, though, World Wildlife Day, and supporting it this way?
Well, in this case, as CEMEX, we have a commitment with the environment, and we have been working towards making a much sustainable world and contributing with our part to make this to happen.
I did a little research with Roberto, and I'm talking about a product of yours that is described as classic and sustainable low-carbon concrete that offers 30% to 49% carbon reduction versus an industry standard of another type. We're talking about what?
Well, in this case, what we know as our low carbon products is Bertua. Bertua is the umbrella brand that globally CEMEX has set to identify our low carbon products. So in this case, the main intention or the main objective of that was to provide uniformity and to make easier to be identified in the market. And in this case, yes, there are different levels of Bertua. And here now in Jamaica, we have achieved, and we're really glad to being recognized as Bertua Seal, here our Carif Plus product.
And we give thanks for that, Roberto. Now, what I want to know is how does this kind of product contribute to the preservation and protection of the environment and its inhabitants?
Okay, well, in this case, as I was mentioning, our main product, the Carif Plus, which is around 80 to 85% of the sales that we do in the market, right now is being certified and recognized as a low carbon product, and which means, as a reference, for example, while the process of achieving this certification, all the emissions that were reduced up to now are equivalent to 1.7 million trees, the CO2 absorbed by 1.7 million trees.
Wow, fantastic information he's sharing. What outside of Vertua, what other methods are you employing at CEMEX to sort of protect our environment?
Okay, well, in this case, as part of all the efforts that we're doing right now in Jamaica, we're already co-processing tires, supporting in this case, Jamaica, for fighting against this problem that we have with the old waste of tires. But aside from that, we're working towards identifying additional alternative fuels to try to seek how much other type of wastes can we use over our process. Also, other things that we're seeking is renewable energies, energy efficiencies, and continue investing in technology, which is the best way to make this to continue improving.
Okay. Is this the kind of initiative that will get your continued support going forward?
Yes.
Most definitely. I suspect. Again, we want to thank you for sponsoring our broadcast and also for your participation in this very important day on our nation's calendar. I want to say good morning and hello to all of the members of your staff. Yes. And again, thank you for joining us here at this early hour.
Thank
Have a
you very
great
much
day
for
today.
you. Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you,
Roberto,
sir.
take care.
And always building a great Jamaica.
Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. And continued growth is what we wish for you. All right, Roberta Villarreal is the commercial director of CEMEX, Caribbean Cement Company Limited. Thank you very, very much, and you have a great day today. Right now, we stand you by for the Secret Sound game. We have a sound that we've been carrying for a while.
Yeah.
And nobody has won the gift package.
We give
which, for that, Shells sees as reason to celebrate.
Oh, yes.
Because the longer it takes to be won is the more he feels that it is closer to his gate.
Yep. Better believe it.
We don't know if today will be the day when somebody says, it's not going to be yours, Shells.
Let's see.
It's going to be mine. Telephone number to call, 876-676-4996. Let's take our first call, but right now, listen to the secret sound. That is the secret sound, ladies and gentlemen. Can you identify that sound? If you can, give us a call right now. I think we have our first caller.
Hello.
Yep. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Richie B, Mr. Dubai.
Oh, Lord.
The name sticks.
Oh, Lord.
You know, I've gone through several name changes since that trip. I hear people calling me Richie Rich.
Richie Rich.
People calling me Mr. Dubai.
Yes.
All I own in Dubai is a little bottle of sand.
Oh, Mr. Dubai, don't deny. Don't deny.
It was a good trip, though. Who's calling?
This is Joy from Mandeville.
Oh, hi, Joy. Nice hearing from you. Sounding bright and chirpy.
Yes.
How's Mandeville this morning?
Oh, nice and cool. Nice and cool.
Wonderful. You've heard the sound, haven't you, Joy?
Yes, I did.
Have you thought about it, and are you ready to give us your take? What's your answer?
Well, I hope I have that answer. If not, you're going to give me a clue this day, you know. And I come and get you. I come and get you.
What is your answer?
I think it's a skeet shooter.
A
Don't
what
like
shooter?
it. Skeet. That thing that you let go and that the person with the rifle and shoot it out the air. Don't like
That
it.
is what you think, Joy.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have put a lot
Don't like
of thought into your answer. Can I tell you that we've never had a winner from Mandeville in the Secret Sound game?
No to the clay now, Mr. Dubai. Don't trick me. You just let me win.
If I say the right thing, Mandeville could get really hot right now.
Oh, yes.
What did you say your answer is, Joy?
Yes.
You
No
said a
quack, quack.
skeet
I don't want
shooter?
no quack, quack.
She said a skeet shooter.
Well, Joy from Mandeville, let me tell you this.
Listen carefully.
You are but a quack, 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 quack. I give you back your quack.
Good try.
Thank you, Joy. You all need to behave yourselves, you know. Oh, boy. Anyway, let's go on one more time. See who we have this time in the Secret Sound game. Will we have a winner? We'll find out. Good morning. You're on the air. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
You're on the air, live
Yes.
on the bridge. Who's calling?
This is Colin from Portmore.
All right.
Big up yourself and calling from Portmore. We want Portmore window one. Hold on there.
Yes, man.
You have
yes,
a lot of support coming your way right now. Give us the right answer. We'll declare you a winner. Colin, what is your answer to our Secret Sound game?
All right. It sounds like a man chopping a tree in a forest and the tree is dropping.
You heard? Colin says it sounds like a man chopping a tree in the forest, and that's the sound that he heard. Listen to the sound again. Let's hear it. Listen. Colin, are you sticking with that answer, or do you want to change it?
It makes sense.
No, I'm sticking with that answer.
Oh, you mean, Colin, it makes sense.
I'll allow your fellow Portmore resident to give you the signal. Signal.
I am proud to tell you, Colin, that you're wrong, my brother.
All right. Have a good day. Have a good day.
Yeah,
Have a
good
good
day, Colin.
Have a good day, Colin. That must have been quite difficult for you to do.
Oh, man. But I reach Portmore regardless, though.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have in the Secret Sound game. We'll get a chance to play again tomorrow morning at around about the same time, 9:30 a.m. When once again we'll have the Secret Sound game right here as part of the activities on Up and Go on the Bridge 99 FM. And she is here with us. She was quite early, as we expected. And, you know, I've interviewed her before.
Okay.
But I've never done a face-to-face interview. Okay. So we greet the senator with love. She's Senator Sophia Fraser Binns, and she is the shadow minister as far as the People's National Party for Land, Environment, and Climate Change is concerned. Good morning, Senator, and welcome. How are you?
Well, good morning, and thank you both for having me.
It's our pleasure.
Wonderful to have you. And I want to start off by asking you, Senator Binns, what kind of impact, from your perspective, does wildlife have on our environment?
Oh, that is such an important question, because the fact is that sometimes when you talk about wildlife, people think about the forest and you think about all the animals that you're afraid of. But the truth is that when we talk about wildlife within the context of the environment, we're talking about all those rare flora and fauna. So we're talking about the rare plants, we're talking about the rare animals. And today, being at the Hope Zoo, we'll have an opportunity to learn so much more about those. And they're so very important in the environment because it provides that balance between the natural environment and the built environment. There is no doubt, especially in Kingston and St. Andrew, with a number of construction that are happening and the buildings that are going up, that there is a need for green spaces, and the wildlife, as we know it, the rare flora and fauna, they in fact provide a natural balance between the natural environment and the built environment. So it's very, very important to our existence and to our continued existence in the environment.
So human activities, I think we're agreed on that, that human activities have over time been destroying our wildlife, and a lot of destruction taking place within our environment.
Absolutely.
So the question is, what can we do to restore and even protect our wildlife?
But you know, what you said, in fact, is a matter of fact. And it is so true because we look at all the things we have done, whether it is mining the cockpit country for many decades, mining for many decades, and in recent times in what we know as a cockpit country, that has impacted the environment. And we see again recently mining in the Dry Harbor Mountains and for limestone, all of which have really impacted the environment. Now, in terms of what we can do, firstly, I believe that more information must be made available to all Jamaicans so they understand and appreciate the importance of the natural environment. But as well, I believe that as leaders and as legislators, we have got to do more to ensure that our laws are, one, enforced, the existing laws are enforced, but also to ensure that existing laws are modernized in a way that they really reflect the importance and the urgency with which we must deal with the environment. And it is in that light, for example, that as a senator, I have tabled a motion in the Senate for the review of an NRCA Act, which is over 30 years old. And so much has changed in terms of how we must care about the environment since it was last passed. The Wildlife Protection Act also is over 20 years old. And these acts are really in need of urgent modernization to ensure that we not just understand, but that we have in place a necessary legislative framework to protect the environment and to enforce them as well. Finally, I think that more resources must be allocated to ensure that the entities such as the Hope Zoo and NGO who have been advocating and who have been working to protect the environment, that they are always placed in a position to continue to do that. And that is so important because the truth is that the issue of the environment is not a government thing, it's not a party thing, so it's not a PMP thing, it's not a JLP thing, it's everybody's thing.
Right.
And so all stakeholders, public sector, private sector, NGO, everybody must come together to play a part. And I think that's one of the things that we have to do by ensuring that more information is made available, as well as that we continue to consult more with all stakeholders.
Lovely. Now, Senator, I have to admit this, right? I am one of those Jamaicans when you say when days like this gone, it's like I'm going back to square one, going back to just my regular work, not thinking too much about the flora and fauna and stuff like that. But what I want to know is how can we convince the citizens of Jamaica, that they too have a responsibility to protect the wildlife beyond days like this, that when this day passes, that we can still remember that, hey, we can still play a part.
Well, two things. One, I believe that more information has to be made available. We can't just talk about the environment on Earth Day or on World Wildlife Day or on Earth Hour. We have to have an ongoing conversation. We have to do like what the Hope Zoo is doing today in terms of getting our children involved so they understand. I recall going to primary school in Brownstone and the song, bits of paper lying on the ground. That was something that even at this old age of mine, even at this time, I still remember because, subconsciously it became such a part of your consciousness that whenever you have a piece of paper, you think immediately, how do I dispose of it? So that education is so important.
Yeah.
And secondly, I think what has to be done is a conversation has to be had so that people understand that their very own existence is part and parcel of how we protect the environment. So if we choose to neglect and to destroy the environment, then we're destroying our own lives. We're destroying our children's future. And I think if people understand that they can't live unless the environment survives, then they will understand. Because at the end of the day, people want to know what's in it for me. And your livelihood is impacted and your livelihood is in it for you. So I think if we get people to the point where we start helping them to understand how it affects them and their livelihood and their children's future and their children's education, Because listen, when we have a flood, children can't go to school. You know, when we have hurricane, everybody's impacted, livelihoods are impacted, income are impacted. And if we break down the conversation in that way, then I think people understand that, hey, I have something to lose. So let me do what I can do to protect the environment. And I think that's the angle that we have to start taking it from.
Yeah. Your grasp of the subject under your portfolio as well as the spokesperson is quite impressive. And you know, we just recently came back from a series of broadcasts in Dubai, and one of the things that Bobby Clark and myself and our engineer Prezi were talking about is the fact that driving around Dubai, we didn't see any paper. No. There was no form of littering taking place whatsoever.
Yes.
And that is the stage that we want to get to.
Absolutely.
And it can be done, can't it?
It can be done, and I think you know, one of the things that we have to start with, apart from the education in school, which I mentioned earlier, is just enforce it. Listen, we have the Anti-Litter Act. What has become of that for so many decades? I mean, from as a little girl, we've been hearing about it. What has become of it, you know? And so we have to ensure that as you know, as well as sharing information and educating persons, that we put in place, we not only put in place a requisite legislative framework, but we enforce them. Because when people understand that, hey, this is going to happen if I don't act a particular way, then they will start acting. And secondly, you know, part of what we have to do as well as putting a legislative framework and educating is to put the resources. So we can't talk about don't litter, and when you look around you can't find garbage bins. We have got to ensure that we have adequate garbage bins, and I want to commend the recycling partners of Jamaica because they have been doing a very good job in terms of making garbage bins available. But we have got to do more. We have got, when you go into some of our communities, there are no skips, right? So people dispose of their garbage in the gullies or on the street side, and all of those things impact the environment because it rains and then water goes in, the rain washes the garbage down into our waterways and it goes into the sea and the whole cycle. So we have got to educate but also put the resources in place to ensure that everybody not just knows, but they also have the requisite things to do what must be done.
Yeah, I agree. It's good that you're here as a member of the Political Directorate, and it sends a strong message of support on a day like this, and we thank you. Good to meet you face to face.
Thank you.
And keep on keeping on. Best
Thank
wishes.
you.
Your closing
I'm so
remarks?
happy I
Yes.
could be here. I mean, I have 2 young kids, 5 and 2 boys.
Okay.
And we come here from time to time to the zoo, and so I'm very happy to be able to participate and to play my part, and to also share with Jamaicans the importance of not just protecting the environment, but the importance that wildlife plays in our own sustenance and continuation as a human species. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful having you, Senator. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that was a chat with Senator Sophia Fraser-Binns, who is the Shadow Minister of the People's National Party for Land, Environment, and Climate Change. And great having her, isn't it?
Oh man, the perspective is amazing, and I love that. You can hear the passion.
Oh yes,
you can hear the passion in her voice, and you know it's good, man. It's good.
Man. It's now time for Constitutionally Speaking, and this is done in partnership with the Office of the Public Defender. We're joined this morning by the Public Defender herself, Mrs. Arlene Harrison Henry, and we're joined also by Mr. Hemmings. We say welcome to our guests. And thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Jamaica, Tri-States, and beyond.
How are you doing today, Public Defender?
We are very well. We are actually talking with you from the parish of St. Anne.
The Garden Parish.
The Garden Parish. And we want to keep it that way.
Indeed. Very important topic that we'll be looking at. We can report, based on what we're seeing on the from the international news sources, that a city in Ukraine called Kherson has now been taken over by the Russians, and I think they're closing in on Kyiv. This morning, inside of Constitutionally Speaking, we'll be looking at the impact of the Ukraine crisis on Jamaica, and I think we also want to be talking about the Zoso walkthrough that you had in St. James. So I'll ask you to get it started right now in terms of this impact on the crisis in Ukraine that it might be having on Jamaica as time goes along, Public Defender.
Thank you so much. Our comments are really limited to the impact that we see and the
ill effects that it will have on Jamaica. And we already see that oil prices have gone up on the international market. And we have seen, too, that gasoline prices of all types have gone up. And this has been certainly from our driving through from Kingston into Montego Bay. Every gas station, the prices have gone sky high. What we observed, Richie B, and this is a concern that we have had for some time, is that oil prices go up leaps and bounds. But when they are to come down, because the price of oil has gone down on the international market, we are of the view that the consumers at this end, on this island, do not get the benefit of that downward price in oil when the prices do fall. So we see that this increase, and it is significant increases, will impact us right across the island, right across manufacture, all our industries, down to the price of food, the price of taxi fare, bus fare, getting around. It's going to impact everyone. And of course, we have concerns about food security because already in the pandemic, we've had many shortages. You know, you can go into, say, an agricultural store, a farm store. They have shortages of some kinds of seeds, shortages of varying types of bags that you may want to buy. So we are feeling it by virtue of the slowdown in that chain of supply of goods passing freely around the world, impacted by pandemic, and now catastrophically impacted by this war. So though we are not a part of the war and we make absolutely no comment, except, you know, we don't support war, we are going to feel it. And the world is going to feel it. So those would be our small comments in terms of what we immediately see as to how this war in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, or Russia and Ukraine, is going to impact us in Jamaica, the Caribbean, and other countries around the world.
Madam Public Defender, Shell's here. You mentioned something interesting a while ago by saying, you know, we in Jamaica tend to believe that, you know, this war not gonna do with nothing. You know, we are right. You know, sunshine and rainbows and all these lovely things. But you say you don't want to say too much, but I'm going to challenge you a bit. You know, how do you think the war between Russia and Ukraine will impact our rights and freedoms here in Jamaica? Do you think it will impact us at all?
I think, you know, those are some complex issues as to rights, whether a country has the right to self-determination, which we support, but whether or not there should not be a broader look in that part of Europe as to their arrangements for the security of all countries. We are of the view that no country should invade the other. And we speak of it, you know, because remember, you know, Venezuela in our jurisdiction and in our immediate sphere. And we have seen developments, certainly in the recent past, of the troubles that arose in Venezuela. We believe in the right to self-determination. We do not believe in invasions of any country. And actually, we condemn all wars, whether civil war, whether criminality war. We believe in peace. We believe in finding solutions. We believe in talking it out. So those, we are going to be impacted and our rights will be challenged by virtue of hikes in prices. We are going to be challenged. Things are going to cost us more. The increase in the minimum wage, though we embrace it, we all know it's not adequate. So all of us are going to feel this, though we are not a part of this war. We are certainly not the engineers or the architects, but we are going to feel it, and our rights are going to be impacted. Our disposable income will be restricted. So in those ways, and of course, I have to mention, since you asked me, we have been disturbed to see some people being put off of buses. People that look like certainly Mr. Hemmings and me sitting down out here. Because the rights of all peoples are equal. Don't matter how we look or whether we're brown, black, short, fat, tall, slim. We're all people. And we have a concern about that.
I really want to thank you for giving us those thoughts on the impact this crisis in Ukraine might very well be having on us here in Jamaica. But if we will, turn our attention a little bit now to that walkthrough that you had in West Norwood in St. James recently. How did that go? And how has it been going down there?
So, Richard, the walk is going on as we speak and will continue tomorrow. The team has divided itself in two. Mr. Hemmings and I are headed cockpit country for a meeting, which we learned about very late and took a decision, last minute decision, that we had to go to this meeting in the cockpit country. And that is why I said to you earlier, we have to keep the garden parish exactly that, a garden parish. So we're going to see what it is Noranda is meeting Noranda is having and the plans for mining out and extracting bauxite way up in the hills of St. Anne. So what we have found with our interactions with zones of special operation is that the communities welcome them. And what we understand from members of the community is that people happily receive police and soldiers and increased numbers in their community. It gives the communities a sense of reassurance, a sense of calm, that they can go in their beds and sleep well whilst the security forces are moving about in the communities. And people want the police and soldiers to remain in the communities because it offers them that protection and security. So that is the response we have received overwhelmingly from communities. Now, we also engage in these zones of special operations because we want to ensure that the law, which is the Law Reform Zones of Special Operation Act, that the provisions are being implemented properly, because it's a legislation that has the potential to impact human rights negatively. But the legislation also provides within it layers of protection to the citizens. And for instance, tomorrow we're doing a training session with the JCF in Norwood and also the justices of the peace who are engaged in the operationalization of the zones, this Law Reform Zones of Special Operation Act. And these layers of protection are contained in the legislation. So, for instance, you cannot be detained or arrested except that the officer in charge of the particular operation is of the view that there is reasonable cause for that detention or arrest. And the other layer of protection after that is that that person who is arrested or detained must be taken before the justice of the peace immediately upon the arrest or detention. And it is important for the citizens to understand that. In addition to which, when the justice makes a determination as to whether or not you should be detained or arrested, you then have to be taken again immediately with the parish court judge. So though the legislation has in it the powers of pardon and the powers of curfew and the capacity to restrict freedom of movement and to restrict rights, the legislation also has protection. And these zones of special operation, Richie B, Jamaica, Tri-State, cannot be effected without the active participation of the justices of the peace, because they are the first judicial officer before whom the detained or the arrested person appears. I don't know if Mr. Hemmings wants to add a line or two on that. Victor?
Yes. What I'd like to point out also is that although we go on the walks and we look out for the interests of the citizens in these areas, we also look out for the interests of the security forces. We ask them about if they are getting their food on time, in refreshment, bathroom facilities, and getting what you call it? Relieved, right? And relieved on time. So and they all have agreed that things have been going well for them also. So it is not only the citizens, but also we have to ensure that our other citizens, who are the security forces, are being well taken care of.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Hemmings, and thank you also again to the public defender. Just in closing, I think we have another minute or so, Madam Public Defender. We know that last week we paid tribute to one of your dearly departed colleagues, and unfortunately, this week once again, we've learned of the passing of Owen Crosby, who was a senior legal practitioner based in Mandeville, Manchester. We express our condolences to his family, eh?
Richie, you remember last week I said that many of our colleagues were passing? Yes, well, shortly after the program, we got word that our colleague, Owen Crosby, had passed. And I'm going to sit down and just write out the names of all our colleagues who have passed, because it seems to be a disproportionate number of lawyers who seem to be dropping out one after the other. Owen Crosby, a senior man in years, practiced in Mandeville, Manchester, a good friend of the bar, and I can tell you, his family knows to make certainly some of the best curry goat I've had. He was an outspoken man, a man in support of good ethical standards at the bar, and he will indeed be missed. And we extend condolences to his family and members of the bar in Manchester and the adjoining parishes.
We too join you in expressing condolences to the family of the late Owen Crosby, a senior legal practitioner from Mandeville, and also to the entire legal fraternity. Madam Arlene Harrison Henry, I want to thank you again, as per usual, for making it with us during this feature, constitutionally speaking. We look forward to being with you again next Thursday morning. We thank also Mr. Hemmings for his participation, and we wish you both a wonderful day. Thank you.
And we thank you for having us. All the very best.
Much appreciated. We're going to segue right now to a chat with a beautiful lady who's here with us. Saw her doing an interview, I think, in front of another camera earlier, and now she has joined us here on the radio. But then our radio is, you can also see us while you watch, while you listen to us. Big time. Boss is sitting. And we are joined by two beautiful ladies. The first of whom we'll talk to, Valerie Juggin-Brown, and she's the director of the Hope Zoo Preservation Foundation. Good morning, Lady Valerie. How are you today?
Very good morning to you, sir, and a very warm welcome to you and your team and all the students and teachers who are here today.
We thank you for that warm welcome. If you will, at the very start, give us a little bit of history of the Hope Zoo itself.
Okay, like Mr. Benjamin said before, we started in 2011. He just came up with this idea one day and said to me, Val, we're going to take over the Hope Zoo. No. That was very strange because we were full into security. And I said, okay, sir. And he says, I want you to go up there with the team and look at it and tell me what you think. When I came to the gate, I didn't think. I didn't go past the gate. And he took all his private collection from what was then Serenity Park. You might have remembered that.
I do.
He took his private collection and he brought in a number of animals. Zebras, lions, kangaroos, and so on.
Yes.
And we still intend to bring more. And he brought it here. He brought all our palms from the Bushy Park, our facility, the Serenity Park, and made it into this beautiful Hope Zoo. And every day we're adding something new. Like our motto is, there's always something new at the zoo.
Now, we met Joe earlier, and he introduced us to some lovely guests. Jojo the iguana and all these lovely things. I was just curious, how much does it take to feed the animals on a daily basis?
We spend approximately $400,000 to $500,000 per month because, like we have exotic animals. We have a full-time vet, we have a full-time curator, we have full-time staff doing nothing but looking after the animals.
Wow, that's a lot of money to put into an investment like this. About how many persons do you have on staff here?
I have 65 full-time members of staff, and from time to time we have to take on additional. So we could ramp up to nearly 90 sometimes.
Okay, wow. Just allow me to bring in to the discussion at this point Patrice Levy, who is Marketing Events and Customer Relations Manager at the Hope Zoo Preservation Foundation. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning.
And how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm happy that everyone is here and the day is going great.
Nice. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. We are having a whale of a time, so to speak. Why did you decide really to take part in World Wildlife Day, Patrice?
I think that we need to spread the word that life is not just about us humans. It's about everyone else that lives on this planet and the important part that they play. And one of the best ways to get that word out is to get involved with the rest of the world. It's World Wildlife Day, and I feel as Jamaican we can play our part because we have everything.
Yes. So I noticed that there were a number of buses rolling in with students and some teachers came by and said hi and so on. Who did you invite here, and what are some of the presentations or presenters?
Right.
Who are some of the presenters who will participate in the day's activities?
Okay, so we invited 10 students from 10 schools for the morning session and 10 students from 10 schools for the afternoon session. Okay. So in total, we've invited 200 students today along with their teachers. And they will get a chance to learn from NEPA and forestry and, just all the important people that it takes so that they can have a great Jamaica to grow up in and for their children to grow up in. And I believe we have to start with them. Because if we start with them and they grow up and they teach their children, then we're set.
Nice. Now, Mr. Levy, we spoke about a few of the activities, persons can look forward to. And I saw, even though they had on masks, I could see the excitement. I could see the excitement on the faces of the children. What are some of the activities that we can look forward to, or the kids can be looking forward to today?
Okay, so today, along with the activities where they get to meet the Jamaican Iguana, we have a beautiful documentary on the Jamaican Iguana, which we're launching today. So they get to see that. They're the first persons to see that.
Look at that.
We have our barn animal feed. We're going to have them do some of that. And they can take part in some other fun activities. Tree planting. They can get the opportunity to feed the camels. Those who want to do budgie feeding, they can do that as well. And we're going to take some of our more friendlier animals out of their enclosure and walk them around the zoo. So the snakes and the...
Not the lions, though.
Not the lions, not today, not today, not the lions today.
Okay.
But our mini horse, or macaws, we're going to walk them around the zoo so they get a chance to really interact and see, what it is to spend a day at the zoo.
Nice.
If those passed us by, we wouldn't have to change our seating position, Shells, would we?
Lions?
As we did earlier.
Richie,
Mrs. Jugan Brown, yes, I'm hearing
we
you.
feel that if kids grow up with animals, we'd have a much milder society.
Yeah.
Yes.
And God knows we need a milder society.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
You did mention earlier on, Mrs. Jugan Brown, of the fact that every day some additional work is being done here. I'm wondering, as we look to the future, what can we expect going forward? Is there, for instance, an animal or a species that you definitely want to get that you don't have yet? If you want to surprise us, we'll take the surprise.
It's a surprise.
If
We
you
can't
want,
say it yet. We can't say it yet, but big things
we're
are
just
coming.
trying to pull a little bit
Yep.
more
Yeah.
information out of you. But what do you expect it will look like in the?
Exciting animals
Are
are
coming.
Exciting animals
Yes,
are coming.
Yes.
Wow.
But
Wow.
one thing you can look forward to, which we can say,
Yes.
is for this year, Easter Adventure, we're going to put a kite festival inside the zoo.
Oh, fantastic!
So that's going to be great. I don't think we've ever had a kite festival in Kingston. So there's always something happening at the
That's something to
zoo.
look forward to. That's something to look forward to. And these additional animals that you intimated at earlier, they'll be expected to be here by that time, possibly?
No, before the end of the year.
Before the end of the year.
Yes.
Okay, coming out of Africa, I suspect, maybe, or not.
Look at Richie poking.
We just wondered.
No, they're coming from other international
Yes.
zoos, which would be probably from somewhere in America.
Okay, but I understand that they will generate a lot of excitement when they get here.
Usually when we get new animals.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's always an animal coming from another conservation
Yes.
somewhere in the world
Okay.
that we bring here. It's not all of our animals here cannot survive in the wild for whatever reason. Maybe they're injured or they were used bred for commercial purposes, and then after that is finished, they've donated them here.
Oh.
So the animals that we have here is because they will not survive anywhere else.
Okay.
So we house them here.
Hey, Shells, you think we should quit while we're ahead, or still ask things like, will any of those animals' name begin with a T? Will they have
They
stripes?
fly.
Maybe
You know.
maybe a J.
Maybe a?
Maybe a J. Yes.
Okay then.
Okay.
Huh? But you got it, Jody? You figured it out? We're not at liberty to say that on air,
Not at
but we
all.
look forward to the excitement that these additions will bring here.
Yes, definitely.
And thank you very much to you and your team for a wonderful broadcast.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much,
Appreciate you.
Valerie. Appreciate it. Good to see you, and good to meet you as well, Patricia.
Richie B, the party master, on Up and Go, The Bridge, 99 FM.